A 1,000-page report came out that alleges there is deep rot at the top levels of the FBI and the DOJ. We're going to get into that report. Hey everyone, hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be discussing how the top levels of the FBI and the DOJ are just rotten to the core. Now here's the thing that you should take away from this. The FBI no longer acts as a law enforcement agency. They don't. They now act like they're an intelligence agency, and there's a difference. There was a dark and evil reason for them doing this, okay? When you act as a law enforcement agency, you have limitations of what you can legally do, and you have to do things by the book. It's because we have rights. For example, when you have to get warrants, if you don't, you violate the Fourth Amendment and other amendments in many cases, but you're restricted to the scope of the warrant. For those that don't know, the scope means that if you're searching for something in someone's home, say, there's a scope that says, well, there's a reasonable expectation that the things you're looking for could be in this room, that room, that room. And there's a scope of things that you're allowed to seize, okay? For example, you can't go into Mar-a-Lago and take a privileged documents, attorney-client privileged documents, but the corrupt and crooked FBI did. We saw that. Okay, so you have timelines as well that you have to meet because, as I said, Americans have rights. And if the government wants to step in and investigate you for a crime, they still have rights that you prove they committed a crime. That's what they have to do. You have rights as an American citizen that the government has to prove that you committed a crime. All right. Now, this means that judges make you answer to them. We're talking law enforcement by sticking to the terms of the Constitution and your job description. OK, but when you act not like a law enforcement agency, but like an intelligence operation, you could do anything you want. You're just looking for intelligence, right? There's no timelines for that. There are no warrants that you have to get other than a FISA warrant, possibly. But FISA warrants are supposed to be for foreign intelligence surveillance, not domestic. We all know how that worked out in 2016 when the crooked FBI under Barack Obama and James Comey, and Joe Biden for that matter, when they abused the FISA system by spying on Carter Page to go after Donald Trump, the guy who was running against their party for president. Okay, so let's get into the story. So, gee, what a surprise, right? Deep rot in the FBI and DOJ. Who would have ever thunk it? Just because Christopher Wray and Merrick Garland are competing to see who is the most corrupt person in law enforcement, does that mean the FBI and DOJ are corrupt? Actually, it does. When you have 30 heavily armed agents using SWAT and Gestapo-like tactics to arrest a man who just pushed an agitator away from his son who was harassing him, then you know they've not only crossed the line, but they have gone so far that you can't even see the line anymore. Yet dozens of pregnancy centers have been firebombed and vandalized, and not a single arrest has been made. Now that should tell you something about how corrupted our federal law enforcement has become. They only go out and prosecute with an agenda, a political agenda. Well, House Republicans have compiled and released a report accusing the FBI and DOJ of massive corruption. This is one of the reasons why they're going to do everything and anything possible to hold on to the Congress, the Democrats. That's why they're going to do, we're not allowed to say it, but you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so the report is 1,050 pages long. It includes testimony from numerous whistleblowers, FBI whistleblowers, who do not like the FBI and the DOJ of what it has become. It is now the law enforcement arm of the Democratic Party. Because, folks, that's exactly what it's become. Joe Biden has been using the FBI and the Department of Justice as his personal police force to go after political enemies. It's the corrupt thing that we've seen that this administration has done since day one. Since day one. We did stories where these people were purging conservatives from the U.S. military. I mean, unbelievable when they tried to turn the military woke, and they succeeded. They've degraded our military because of their politics. The testimony from the whistleblowers points to the fact that they're targeting conservative Americans, the DOJ and the FBI. And this is at the same time while they covered up for Hillary Clinton and Hunter Biden. So it's 100% political. So the report says, quote, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, under the stewardship of Director Christopher Wray and Attorney General Merrick Garland, is broken. The rot at the FBI festers in and proceeds from Washington. Now, Merrick Garland, everybody goes, where did he come from? I thought he was just supposed to be put on the Supreme Court and Republicans screwed him. No, Merrick Garland in 1993 joined the Clinton Justice Department. And he was a deputy director, attorney general. He worked under Jamie Gorelick. Okay, there's a name you should remember. Corrupt to the core. She was the hit woman for the Democrats, if you will. She was the one that went out and got special assignments to screw over the opposition, make them look bad. Okay, well, she did a lot of things. But for Merrick Garland, he was in charge of the Oklahoma City bombing, the federal building bombing, and he completely screwed that up. He got caught, as a matter of fact, doctoring evidence. His DOJ doctored surveillance tapes. Okay, and 14 years later, in 2009, a judge ordered them to turn the tapes over, and when they did, they were clearly doctored. Okay, so back to the report. Over the last year, a multitude of whistleblowers have approached Judiciary Committee Republicans with allegations of political bias by the FBI's senior leadership and misuses of the agency's federal law enforcement powers. Gee, who'd have thunk? These whistleblowers have risked their careers out of fidelity to the principle and a commitment to restoring public trust in the FBI. Now, you might think that's a bunch of BS. Okay, it's not. I've heard them talk. Okay, they've come on to talk shows. Like they went. I believe one went on Hannity. I've heard one, maybe two on Bongino. You know, these guys have come out and they've talked, and this is what they sound like. They really care about the Constitution. They care about their jobs, and they see the rot that's going on. This report begins to tell their stories. Even at this early stage, one startling conclusion is clear. The FBI and its parent agency, the Justice Department, have become political institutions. They're supposed to be apolitical. You remember, we see the Lady Justice with the balancing scales and all. Not anymore. It goes on. The American people entrust the FBI with enormous power to fairly and even-handedly enforce federal laws. As this report documents, the FBI has abused its law enforcement authority in several ways, violating the fundamental civil rights of American citizens and chilling their participation in the political process. Now, if you want to read the full report, we have it in the story, and I will leave the link to the story down in the description. But this report covers allegations of FBI padding and manipulating the number of domestic terrorism cases in order to use those numbers to bash conservatives. They've become the political police, if you will, the Stasi of the Democratic Party. We have heard a whistleblower from the FBI make this allegation. It's one of the reasons why he became a whistleblower. He saw that the leadership in the FBI was telling the rank and file to pad the numbers of so-called MAGA Republicans that were acting as domestic terrorists. And it's from these efforts that the potato head in chief, Joe Biden, is able to constantly lie about MAGA Republicans being extremists. The big question is, how come we never heard about domestic terrorists by leftists who were burning down large portions of American cities such as Seattle, Portland, and Minneapolis? I mean, you remember they toppled statues across America. And when asked about it, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi said, people will do what they do. You remember that? Okay, now, the Daily Wire said, other FBI and Justice Department controversies the report covers are the DOJ's reported targeting of concerned parents. Remember that? When the parents went to school board meetings because they came out with certain things like critical race theory and allowing transgender students into girls' bathrooms. Okay, the FBI's abuse of foreign surveillance authority, which is the FISA system that they abuse, and the FBI's raid on former President Donald Trump's home. They raided the immediately former president of the United States for political reasons. The American people entrust the FBI with enormous power to fairly and even-handedly enforce federal laws. As this report documents, the FBI has abused its law enforcement authority in several ways, violating the fundamental rights of American citizens and chilling their participation in the political process. Now, this has been going on for years, folks, under Democrat administrations. But right now, it's just exacerbated to the point where you can't cover it up anymore. Attorney General Garland and FBI Director Wray have weaponized federal law enforcement to target the administration's political opponents and protect political allies. There's no way that they can say they're not doing that. Instead of using their enormous law enforcement capabilities to make America safer, the FBI is investing its limited time and resources to further a leftist political agenda. Spot on. The American people deserve better, as do the many patriotic Americans who joined the Bureau to make America a better place. Folks, many of you think that this is much ado about nothing because it hasn't affected you yet. But trust me, if we allow our government that we are supposed to be running because we are self-governing, that's what a democracy is all about, right? If we allow this to continue, it will hit you, okay? It will. So the best thing you can do to help rein this in is vote on November 8th. Vote Republican. Yeah, I'm endorsing Republicans because the Democrats are just wildly out of control. We have to do something to rein them in. We're probably going to win the House if we're allowed to have a free and fair election. But the fact of the matter is that we have to win at least one House. It would be nice to win two with veto proof. Then we shut Biden down completely. He's out of control. Okay. So, but if we get at least one House of Congress, at least one, we can stop the hemorrhaging of the attacks on the American people and on our system, on our economy, on our constitutional process. Okay, that's it. Thanks. I'm going to put the link to the story down in the description. Thanks for being with us. Read everything you can at RPW Media to stay informed. So we will see you in the next one.
Welcome to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring. Hand me a drink cause I think I'm